Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, December 7th. It's about 7:38 p.m. Tonight we have planning and zoning general meeting and public hearing. Before I get started really quick, I just want to do one thing, which is not announced because it's not on the agenda. I want to thank Dave Keating for his 38 years of service on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I knew he was retiring, but I only really found out that his last day is going to be December 31st. So we will not see him again. Everyone, I think, has known Dave Keating over his 38 years here in Town Hall, and we truly, really thank him for all of his service. Whatever I've told him, he's always been great to me too. Great asset to the community. Good luck for him in his retirement. Fantastic.
I absolutely want to join you in that, Steve. He was particularly helpful to me when I was a younger lawyer in my early years here, and put up with some very stupid questions from me, and he was really very helpful. So I was grateful throughout until now.
So we still have Fred filling in, and it's been here for what, 3 years now? 5? Wow, holy cow. Time flies, man. Hey, Jeremy, we still got you.
Great stuff.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, so getting right into it. Our first item on the agenda is the public hearing. We have a continuation of public hearing regarding coastal site plan review number 365, flood damage prevention application number 418, land filling and regrading application number 519, Gilbert and Anne Holmes at 12 Pratt Island. The proposal is to construct in addition to the south side of the existing patio and perform related site development activities within regulated areas. The 0.4 plus or minus acres subject property is located on the west side of Pratt Island, approximately 1,150 feet south of its intersection with Nearwater Lane, and is shown on Assessor's map number 55 as lot 120 in the R1 zone. Jeremy, what do we got?
Sure, you may recall that the hearing was originally opened, I believe it was November 16th, immediately continued to November 30th, and we didn't take testimony on November 30th as well. So this will be the first night for testimony and a presentation by the applicant, etc. So you commission members got the materials in their packets a few weeks ago. I would say the couple items to note in your packet were at October 26th email from Darren Ostafine with his review from a public works standpoint. And because this is on the coast, we did refer to the state of Connecticut DEP, who sent an email dated November 17, 2021, which has been posted to the website. It's not in your packets. I'll summarize the email. They say, from a FEMA perspective, the proposed stone wall, appliances, fireplace, patio are development and small landscaping features. The applicant should anchor those elements and try to protect them from floodwaters. The applicant should be aware that they can expect some wave action, a low level of wave action on the property, and if damaged, none of the elements would be covered by flood insurance. So Rob Frangione's here on behalf of the applicants, the Holmes. You have in your packets both Rob's paperwork, presentation, and Rob, take it away.
Thank you. For the record, Rob Frangione, Frangione Engineering, licensed professional engineer, Connecticut, New York, Vermont, Colorado, but in particular, Connecticut. Again, thank you for hearing us tonight. We would have loved to have gone on last week, but at 11:30, I could tell the commission was a little tired. So what we're proposing is a very simple application. It's basically a small extension of the existing patio. Here's the existing pool. There is a massive screening of evergreens, very tall evergreens, between the adjacent neighbor and our client. What's being proposed is a very small, it's only about 1'9" seating wall with a grill, a built-in grill, and a TV/fire wall with the TV can rise and lower out of the back of it, as seen in the this little picture over here. You know, the wall itself for the TV, little fireplace, is about 3'10", The TV that comes out of it, if it's a 52-inch TV, that's only about 2 feet tall. So with the TV and the wall, it's not going to exceed 6 feet tall. So also, the wall is located 8.5 feet off the property line, which it's required to be 8 for the patio. So it complies with the setbacks. It is not a structure. We have the TV and fire and everything facing away from the neighbor. It's facing towards my client's house. If my client really wanted to, he could put the TV on the side of the wall or side of the house and face it towards the neighbor. He hasn't done that. Everything, all the sound, all the light, all the noise is projecting away from the neighbor that shares a common property line. As far as in response to DEP, yes, I mean, it's a stone wall, so it's going to have a footing, so it will be anchored. And understandably, if it does get flooded, that flood insurance would not cover that. That's completely understandable. Again, thank you for having this special hearing tonight. That's really all our presentation is, because it's such a simple project. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Great, thank you, Rob. My first question is that one element that's in the middle, it looks like a table. I can't see what it's called in the middle.
This here?
No, next to it.
That's a great.
It's a square.
Um,
Looks like a table, a wooden table.
yeah, I think it's just a. Oh, this here.
Yes, yes. You got it.
There's a table there now. They have a table here. They've got chairs. There's a standalone grill. You know, really what we're just doing is making it nicer and a little more high end.
Right, I got you. So my question is on Google Maps, you can see that table sitting there right now.
Mm-hmm.
From where the fire pits, from where the grill built-in starts to the end of the new wall, how many feet is that? So what's the length of this whole thing?
See, 14 plus 9, about 23 feet. It's only about 167 square feet of patio being added. It's not very much.
No, I'm starting with the wall. So the wall is 14 feet long. Is that what you said, or 28 feet long?
Well, we're 7 feet to the from the grill to the firewall. Then it's about 8'6", that firewall, and then it's 7 feet to the end of the wall. So that's 14 plus, I think, let's call it 9 feet. So 23 feet.
Okay. And does the wall start at the edge of the pool? Because in Google Maps, you can't see the wall there.
So the wall is starting at the edge of the existing patio. So this patio is there, and that's just it. Basically, the wall is going to go on the edge of it. Right.
So is that a spa that's on the south side of the pool? Yeah, that thing.
There's an existing spa.
No, what's this circle thing in the bottom? What's that thing? Yeah, what's that?
That's a tree. It's a planter. They just wanted to put a planting feature.
Okay, got it. Okay, so the wall is about 20. It's 23 feet long. Okay. So then you get the wall goes for a couple of feet. Then you have the gas grill that's built in. Then it drops down another to 1.5 feet. Then you have the fireplace that's 3 feet high. Then it drops down again, right?
Right.
Which is pretty much the picture at the bottom.
Yes, if you see the picture at the bottom, that's what that looks like.
Okay. Now the picture at the bottom and right above the Weber grill that's to the left, it says that this is all conceptual and it's not not actual dimensions. But that little man that's there, probably a 6 foot tall guy.
I scaled it. It was maybe a 4 foot, 4.5, almost 5 foot guy.
Okay.
Again, this TV was just a sketch TV.
Right.
I took my 52-inch LCD and I measured the height of it, and it's 25 inches. That's about what you would fit in a place like this.
You think the fireplace, that thing's 3 feet high?
Yes, I scaled that, and that was 3'10" by my scale.
3'10", so it's almost 4 feet high.
Right.
You have a 4 foot high fireplace and a 2.5 foot TV on top of it that comes out the back.
2 foot TV.
Okay. So 4 plus 2 equals 6. Got it. And then the patio, all those new chairs is where all the patio extension is, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I understand what's going on. Any commissioners have any question of Rob on this one? Adam saying no. Kara, go ahead, Kara.
Sure. On some of it was really hard to read your materials. I had to get a magnifying glass out. I had to like enlarge them. So that's really difficult when it's really hard to read an applicant's materials. I couldn't see on them though the distance, and I know you're saying that they're 8 feet from the property line, but I did not see that anywhere on the materials that I was provided. Can you confirm that the wall in every place will be 8 feet? And
Yes,
even
so I have the CAD file, and I have the survey that was scanned, and so that's what I was working off of for my site plan. And when I snap an offset, I get 8.5 at its closest point, 8'6".
Is that from the tree planter or from where?
That's from the wall, the outside face of the wall. So
the tree planter? Because the tree planter juts out, right?
No, the tree planter is only a couple of feet, but that's not the wall that's in question. The issue that that's in question is
right. But to be interpreted as a wall, it needs to be a wall, right? It needs to be a wall.
Right, but a wall doesn't have to comply with the 8.5.
A wall doesn't. That's correct, but structures do. So a wall.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And at one point that you even say in here that it's a retaining wall. So is it a retaining wall or a wall?
So in some places it's retaining, in some places
where
it's
is it retaining?
a wall. And so where it is at the tree planter, that is a retaining wall, which
so
again,
that's retaining wall. So what's that distance from the property line?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What's that distance of the retaining wall from the property line?
I will tell you really quickly. That's the beauty of having these things on GoToMeeting. I can have my computer and I can snap dimensions.
It's helpful.
I've got, hold on, let me go from the midpoint, breaking down a fourth wall here.
I like that.
I've got, sorry, pun not really intended, but I've got about 2.9 feet, 3 feet from the outside edge of the planter to the property line.
Okay, and that's considered the retaining wall.
So that's it doesn't count. It wouldn't have to comply with setbacks because it's I think less than 4 feet at that point.
Right, but that's what you guys have as characterized as a retaining wall.
Yes, at that section. When you get over to the fire pit, it's not a retaining wall.
That's not retaining wall anymore. That's just wall.
Right, that's flush with grade existing.
And that's wall connected to a patio?
So it butts up against the patio. So if you've got your wall here and the patio here, I don't think there'd really be a physical connection except for a mortar joint in between them, but there's no intention of having it structurally dependent. It's just a masonry wall with a patio butting up against it.
A masonry wall with a TV coming out of it.
Yeah, like a brick stone wall, and there's things cut out on the inside, but yes.
Masonry.
Yes, it was they've intended stone based on the drawing that was submitted.
Okay, so then the wall that's different than the retaining wall, and are they contiguous, the retaining wall and then this TV fireplace wall, grill wall?
Yes, so basically, as you go across, you've got retaining, and then all of a sudden, it's not retaining anymore because the grade rises back up, and then it's just a wall that's flush with the grade. So now it's no longer a retaining wall.
Okay, now it's TV and fireplace and grill.
Right.
But they're not structures, they're walls.
Not according to the definition that with requirement.
No, interpretation. By our definitions, I don't know if that's not necessarily the case, but there's an interpretation somewhere that's the wall. Okay, those were my, and so the wall part that's non-retaining, how far is that from the property line?
That is 8.5 feet.
8.5 feet. And how far is the pool from the property line?
According to the survey, it is 12.6 feet.
So is that a nonconformity? Do we know?
I don't know that answer, but the pool's been there a long time. These are
No, I
undersized.
understand that. I'm just curious.
I think Jeremy answered that. I'm sorry, Kara.
I couldn't hear him.
Pre-existing non-conforming, or it might have gotten a variance. I don't recall, but it has been there a while.
Normally, doesn't ZBA interpret regulation with the ZEO, not us?
Well, I don't think there's an interpretation. I think there's let's not use the word interpretation. I think there's a dispute.
I think it's an interpretation issue.
Mr. Frangione and the neighbor who's represented by Wilder Gleason. So it's not so much a question. I guess
It's more for my clarification, right? Because I understand and I know the learning curve has been, but my understanding is the zoning enforcement officer and interprets regulations with ZBA. But I could be mistaken on that understanding. And that's just for my application.
Could I clarify?
Not yet, Weiler. Not yet, Weiler.
No.
Thanks. We'll get to.
I might be mistaken in my understanding.
The ZEO essentially makes a call in the issuance of a zoning and building permit. So it wouldn't be him advising the ZBA. It would be him making a call on the issuance of a zoning and building permit for any given application.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, Rob, I got to go back for a second because I'm reading the plan again. The wall actually starts at the beginning of the pool, correct? Because there's a box. If you pull it up, there's a box that says construct new. That's where the world comes in.
Yeah, so it starts at the pool, and maybe you and I were misunderstanding each other, but the wall will start at the north end of the pool, which is closest to the street, and then it goes along the existing patio and juts out into the yard.
Right. It's the wording I'm trying to read. It says and Kara it is small. It says construct new retaining wall at edge of existing pool terrace from blank to the end of the terrace extension.
I think it says from shower.
Can you pull up that map again, Rob?
Sure.
I think it says from shower to end
Share
of
again.
existing.
Shower
So is there a shower there on the property line?
Way in the corner.
There's a
Yeah,
shower in
that's
the corner, Kara. Can you blow that up, Rob? Yeah, blow it up a little bit more. One more click. I got it. Yeah, then shift it over. Where was I reading? Now you got to slide it up a little bit. There you go. A little bit more. There you go. Bingo. See that box at the bottom? It says, just read that box to me. Yep.
It says construct new retaining wall at edge of existing pool terrace from shower to end of terrace extension.
Okay. Now where's the shower?
So here's the shower. That's an existing shower.
Okay.
So then to here is about where it's retaining.
Okay.
Once we get to here, it's at grade, existing
I got it.
grade. Because what's happening is we've got a little bit of a swale in here, and there's built up debris and stuff in here. So there is going to be a little bit of a drop. That's why we got the spot elevations out there. So in this case, it's a little retaining, but it's only about 3 feet.
That's fine.
By the time we get to the grill and this area and here, it's no longer a retaining wall. It's at grade. So it's just a freestanding wall.
I got you. My question just was how many feet's the overall thing? What's that one box that's between the right where you are now and the shower?
Oh, this area here?
No, over.
So
Go
from
No, there's a box going over the other way. Right there, that box. What's that thing say?
STR. I don't know. Can't read versus. handwriting. I mean, I think that's just like a table or something that's there.
Probably just storage.
Storage, yeah, STR, storage.
So it's a box for storage. You can put stuff in there. All right, so that, all right, so the overall wall starts at the shower and goes all the way to the end of the thing. So it's not really 23 feet. It's 3 times that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When you and I were talking before, I thought you were asking me the dimension from the grill to the end. I didn't realize that was what you were asking. So
No, I thought the tree planter thing was already there.
no.
Okay.
No, there's one of those here. So.
All right, I got you. All right, that's helps me understand. George Riley, you okay with this? You don't have any questions? Jeff Ball is on the phone. If he had any questions, he would chime in. And Adam already said okay, and Kara's there. Okay, so with that said, I think we're okay. So we're going to open up to the general public and see if anybody from the general public has any questions on this application. Anybody in the general public like to speak on the application? Mr. Gleason, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Kara, in response to your question about interpretation, planning and zoning interprets its regulations all the time. You are the drafters and the interpreters. And the ZBA only gets involved if a permit is granted by Dave Keating or denied, and someone is disgruntled with that decision and interpretation, and they can appeal it to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that's the process. So typically interpretations arise through the permitting process, but every time you pass an application, you're interpreting your regulations. So you have the ability to listen to, read your regulations, and determine whether an application complies with them. And that is something you always do in passing and approving any application or making a decision in connection with it. So it's our contention that.
Can I just ask you one more question on sort of the interpretation and drafting and interpretation of regulations? So what is there, and if there is, what is the precedential value of past ZEO interpretations on previously on current applications? Because, I think it's important to be consistent and treat, neighbors and residents of the town in a consistent and fair manner unless the regs have been changed, between applications or between permits. I'm grappling with the precedential value of ZEO interpretation of certain things and how that is to be weighed and how that affects our decisions. And you don't have to answer that. I can go to town council on that, but if there's a view on it, I'm happy to hear it.
My view is that he has, as I understand it, approved built-in grill systems, and he interprets those as a wall, which I think is a very liberal interpretation, because a wall isn't typically, this wall that we have. And by the way, I wanted to ask how deep that wall is when we get to, well, I'd like to get a couple of facts if I can from Rob. How deep is the wall that surrounds the kitchen? What's the depth and what's the width of it?
You want to answer that for us, Rob?
Sure. So I think the main seat wall, which I'm going to share the screen again. So we all are looking at something. So this main wall here is 18 inches. So then the grill is going to project into the property from that. And I had that scaled based on my drawing. It is, hold on. computer's going to melt down from all the rendering. 30 inches.
Okay. And can you tell me the depth of the TV fire pit wall? Is that 30 inches as well?
I believe so, but yes, 30 inches.
Okay.
And if you
So-
slide, the thing down, Rob, you can see the height of the wall on the bottom scale.
Hold on, my computer didn't like AutoCAD and GoToMeeting going on at the same time, so I had to turn that off. I'm amazed my computer doesn't melt down with all the graphics from me. So,
Keep going. Right there. See right there. There's a dimension next to the fridge. Keep up, bingo.
yes,
That's
1
it.
foot 9 inches. So
Okay.
that's how high that little seat wall is. And so, you know, this is about 2 feet, 30.
Right. So to me, while their depth and width is the same exact thing, correct? Or you want to?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I just want to make sure I'm on the same, that front to back is depth in my mind. That's 30 inches for both of these structures that Rob is pointing
Right.
out. And
Wait.
And then the sitting wall is 18 inches.
High.
it's 18 inches deep and it's 21 inches. It's 12 feet.
I'm sorry,
plus
yeah,
So it's
18 inches.
21 inches high. And
Yes.
that makes it a nice seating wall, which is fine. And my clients have no objection to it. And Kara, in response to your question, it is my understanding that David Keating has approved built-in kitchens as a wall and allowed them to be at the edge of terraces 8 feet away from properties in the past. And so we are not challenging that. But when I talked to Dave about this particular application, he did not advise me that he approved anything but a kitchen. And I think this one is pushing the boundaries, because what you've got now is a fire pit that's not a pit down by the ground, but it's an elevated structure that's 4 feet tall. And that's this one. And then it has a TV that pops out that gets it to 6 feet tall. And what's to prevent you, is that appropriate? And I think that's a structure. It creates noise, light, and it's going to encourage people to congregate outside at night. My clients' kids' bedrooms are right adjacent to where this terrace is. They're 25 feet away. And now there is some screening, but the fact is that with an outdoor 24-hour TV, you're going to have Monday night football games going on till 11 o'clock outside in the right, in the warmer weather. And who knows what else will be outside. And the applicants already have the ability to move a TV outside if they want and put it back in. And we couldn't stop that. But the likelihood of that being year round, which this is, and it's just so much easier. And this is really a structure in our view. And there's plenty of room on the property for them to put it elsewhere. So let me go through and share my screen with you if I can. I just want to pull up my presentation, just a sec. And let me share my screen if I can. Fred, can I get share screen? Okay, so can you all see this?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Great. So the regulations define a structure in section 210 as anything constructed, installed, placed, or erected on a site, the use of which requires location on the ground or attachment to something having location on the ground. And it includes all these things. We have swimming pools, buildings, platforms, paddle platforms, tennis courts, docks, balconies, entries, etc. And it includes at the end fences or walls that are more than 6 feet in height, other than retaining walls. Now, there's no definition of walls in the regulations, but when they were drafted, I don't think they thought that a built-in kitchen was a wall. And I doubt the commission thought that. And your regulations require a yard of 25 feet along this property line, our common property line. And that's an open space on the same lot with a building or group of buildings, which open space lies between the building or group of buildings and the nearest lot line and is unoccupied and unobstructed from the ground skyward, except for certain features specified in section 350 and 360. 350 is architectural features like, the portico over your front door, stairs, cornices, eaves, things like that. And there's various things that can intrude into your yard, but they don't talk about walls. They don't talk about kitchens, and they don't talk about built-in TVs and built-in fire pits. None of those are exempt in sections 350 and 360. So then the question is this structure, and we're not objecting to the kitchen because that's a ZEO interpretation already, and we're willing to accept that, but we don't want the fire pit and the TV coming out of it. And so if you look at 361, it defines terraces, allowing a terrace shall not be considered a determination of yards. It shall be unroofed and without walls or parapets or other forms of enclosure. Well, this is a form of enclosure, slightly. I mean, and also you're allowed to have an open guard railing, not over 3 feet high, adjacent to your terrace. This is a 4-foot wall that they're proposing, this fire pit. It's not an open guard railing. So I don't think your regulations allow this. The yard space is supposed to be open, and it's 25 feet here. You have a 40-foot rear yard. And looking at the plan itself, which I'm going to blow up, because when you look at it, they could move this 25 feet away and put it back here. And we would have nothing to say about it. And we think that's appropriate. To allow this to happen now, it's going to be the slippery slope. There's going to be, we are okay with kitchens, and I think the ZEO has approved that. But beyond that, you're entering slippery slope territory. Calling anything that's 30 inches deep, 4 feet high, and 8 feet, 10 feet wide, 6 feet wide, whatever it is, a wall, and allowing a series of these to occur is only going to intensify the use adjacent to the property, which is contemplated by your regulations as being not permanent structures. These are permanent structures. They're fixed to the ground. They're attached to the ground. They interfere with the open yard that is required. And this property is already challenged because it's in a 1 acre zone. It's a ½ acre. The pool itself is there by a variance granted back in the 80s. And it was, in retrospect, it's almost improvident that it was granted because it would, exactly what's happening now is a cause of the fact that the pool's there instead of back in here where it should be in compliance. And the tendency is to have everything around the pool, which puts all the activity adjacent to my client's property and interfering with his quiet enjoyment of his property. And you're exacerbating that situation if you approve this TV and fire pit. And I believe your regulations do not allow you to do that because this is a structure. It is affixed to the ground and it interferes with the open space between the property line and the 25-foot setback here. And it has a negative impact. The kitchen is an area that is used for an hour or two, and then it goes quiet. And it's going to be, if you're not going to be doing it late at night, it's unusual for you to do it late at night. This fire pit TV is going to be used late at night, and it's got kids' bedrooms right next to it, and it's not appropriate in our view.
I just ask one more question.
Of course you can.
Sorry. So in looking at Regulation 361 terraces. And I get this is not exactly a terrace, but when we're talking about a paved terrace shall not be considered in determination of yard size if without walls, but this does have now a wall, and even if it's not over a certain height, it shall not project into the yard any closer than 8 feet. But from the plans, it appears at the planting area, which I believe is the retaining wall section, or maybe it's not, it's hard to tell because of the size and, you know, the size of the font and writing. It's hard for me to like see it all. But that, I think you said, Mr. Frangione, was 2.9 feet. So does that then extend the terrace, or is that wall not considered part of the terrace? Is that a different wall?
They're different walls. Yes, they may look connected, but by the time it gets over to the fire pit, it's no longer a retaining wall. It's a stone wall. From the perspective of the neighbor, it's a stone wall.
But are walls that are
it's less than 6 feet tall.
terraces? So is that not considered enclosing the terrace or the patio?
No, and I was going to say in my comments, it's not a form of enclosure because if something's open on 3 sides, it's not enclosed. It's just a divider. It's no different than, in theory, putting a Jersey barrier there. It doesn't enclose it. It's just a fancy looking freestanding wall.
Is there a fence around the pool or property?
There is a pool fence. I know that's required by code.
Right, so where's
I know the fence, if I remember correctly, it extends out all the way to the water, basically along the row of trees, because I did walk down there and I saw where the fence ends at the seawall. So.
Can I ask a question?
Who's that? Adam?
That's Adam.
Right ahead, sir.
Yeah, I've got a question. You mentioned just as it relates to the fire pit, the wall itself is going to be about 3 feet, 10 inches, call it 4 feet, and the TV itself is going to be about 2 feet. But now looking at the diagram underneath it, there's obviously some enclosure that TV has to sit in. So it's not just the top of the wall plus the TV mounted flush to it, right? It looks like there's some open space underneath it, and then there's some obvious, the TV's got to be protected from the elements somewhat. How big is that enclosure? Is that an extra foot? Is that an extra 6 inches? Is that an extra?
I don't know the answer to that, but really, we're kind of splitting hairs here. The wall, the freestanding wall, is about 3'10". If I put a planter on it, that's 36 inches tall. That doesn't all of a sudden make my wall 7 feet tall. If I take a freestanding TV and I go plop it on top of the wall, that doesn't make the wall now.
But is this freestanding TV?
Hmm? No, it's a TV that can come in and out of the wall, and so it would be a benefit.
Part of the structure. It's part of the wall, unlike a planter, which is removable and not secured.
Okay.
And a freestanding TV is not secured either.
You could lag bolt it. I could take a TV stand.
I'm just asking you based on your
to the wall. It's no longer, we're really semantics here.
No, a freestanding TV is not secured, and this is part of the structure and rises up. So It's one thing.
So now, to my point, if I take a TV and I lag bolt it to the top of a wall, is that now a 7-foot wall? No, it's a wall with a TV on it. In this case, we have a wall that 98% of the time is just going to be a wall.
And make them higher despite visibility or what impact that may have on other neighbors?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
So then should people then be permitted or allowed to just secure whatever they want on top of a wall to make it higher or to have more privacy or whatever they want to do and say, well, it's not really part of the wall. That's something different, and I have a row of concrete planters on top of my wall, and now it's 7 feet. Is that okay?
That's not for me to decide. I'm just saying that's what we're talking about, what's there and what it's going to look like, and that there's
This
really
is
no
not a freestanding TV or a freestanding planter.
I'm sorry, I can't keep talking at the same time.
I just want to make clear that this is not a freestanding TV, nor is it a freestanding planter. It's secured and part of the thing.
Right, which again, 95+% of the time, the TV is concealed in the wall. From the perspective of the neighbor, they're not going to see this 95% of the time, if even at all, because of the dense screening. Is Wilder done? Because I do have some other things and I'd like to be able to share the screen.
Just one last question. So because we're treading so close to the height of 6 feet, it's fair to say that with a 52-inch television that has, let's say, a 2-foot height and your wall's at 310, the enclosure is probably going to be bigger than 2 inches and be over 6 feet when the TV is raised, right?
There's a chance, yes.
Okay.
Good.
Well, there you
All
go.
right, guys. Fred Dornight's going to add something here.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a clarification for the commission. Wilder had mentioned in his comments in his presentation that walls are not defined as part of the Darien zoning regulations. However, they are in fact defined under our fence definition. I think it's important just to make that distinction between what a structure is and is defined as in the code and what a fence is defined as in the regulations. And just very quickly, a fence is defined as a barrier of any material or combination of materials erected to enclose, separate, screen, or buffer areas of land. So I think that's just an important distinction to make between, as the commission considers the difference between what might be considered or interpreted as a wall versus what's interpreted as what might be a structure on the property.
Is a wall and fence in our regs is defined as what you just read?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
And this is actually, whoever just put this up on the screen, that was actually, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to talk to. If you look, see where those chaise lounges are right there, Rob? That thing right there, you go above this chaise lounge, that to me looks like a gas grill. Is that probably correct, Wilder? Because you can't see.
That's correct. We have a gas grill right there, and that's why we don't object to their gas grill.
Right. So if you line up, if you look on the other thing, or if you go the Google Maps other way, the table that we were talking about earlier lines up directly with the end of your pool at your house, Wilder.
Yep.
Yeah. And then that gas grill is away from the house. So I don't mean to split hairs, but the fire pit's not a fire pit. That fire pit is a gas fired fireplace. Okay, there's no smoke coming out the top of it. What's proposed, and it doesn't have a chimney.
Can we just go back to what Fred just read, the definition of wall and fence, which is a barrier meant to enclose, separate, or buffer? And I think I heard the applicant's representative say that this wall was not meant to enclose. So I think by that, it's not designed to be considered a wall or a fence. It's something different.
It's a buffer. It's an or statement.
But it's not meant to enclose. I have to look at it. But doesn't the tree, isn't that what buffers? This is not to buffer. This is to entertain. TVs don't buffer.
No, but the wall does.
No, there's already buffering by the evergreens and the trees, right?
Right, which is why we keep saying that this doesn't apply to the 25-foot setback regulation, because this isn't a structure. This is a freestanding wall with some interesting things in it that is 8.5 feet off the property line. And if I can speak to the quiet use and enjoyment of the property by the neighbors, these little blobs here are speakers that project sound straight at my client's property. And yes, they have the ability to gather there too. And so, you know, the quiet use and enjoyment, let's not make it sound like it's an idyllic park setting. All my client is looking to do is the same thing that the neighbors are able to do, and to gather right here and to have some sound. And we were nice enough to project the sound and the light away from the property line.
Are those things at issue here tonight, though?
They've been brought up because we were talking about quiet use.
Are they at issue in this application?
They are pertinent because we're.
Are they? They may be pertinent, but are they part of this application that's being considered?
No, they're part of the testimony of the neighbor.
Right, Marlon, what I was alluding to earlier is you said that the kids' bedrooms overlook the fireplace. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case, if you look at the way it lines up on the aerial maps.
They're in this wing is is my understanding, and it's very close. My clients advise me this is.
Yeah, I get it. Right, but
now, I do want to go back if I can.
It's not just to be clear, Wilder. It's not the fireplace is not underneath the windows. That table that is there is even north or south of the edge of the house. If you switch to the other view, and this is 23 feet, or actually no, it's 15 feet further south. And you do have the row of abrevieties that you can't even see.
Is there something in the regs that is relevant to whether kids' bedrooms are there? It's a pretty clear issue about setbacks are what's within a setback, what's not.
Okay, let's make sure you talk one person at a time. Okay, Wilder, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, Rob is basing his claim on the fact that Dave Keating has said that a kitchen that's enclosed is akin to a 6-foot wall. And then the definition that Fred said is a wall has to be, the purpose of a wall is to enclose something, and that's not the purpose of these things. So these things cannot be a wall, and they must be a structure under your regulations because they're affixed to the ground and they interfere with the open yard that is required. And I don't know how you get around that. These are structures.
Not for the purpose of the definition of this wall. It is a stone wall.
Let me just
go back. Neighbor's property. I'm sorry. There's no other way to interpret this. Yes, it's got
okay,
a
whoa, guys. The questions have to be directed towards the commission. You can't be arguing back and forth between participants, please. You know, that's our job. Okay, I'm just going to direct the question to the commission. The commission or the staff will try to answer it, and Rob, you can direct the question to the commission, and the commission or staff are going to answer it. Okay, I mean, I get everybody's picture. There's, you know, we've had these sitting walls all over town. It's not the first time we've seen this thing. Okay, the other thing is that if you stare at the fireplace that's built in, and you look next to it, you're staring at the gas grill that's built in, and you stare at the fireplace that's built in, they're right next to each other. They look really, really similar. They serve different functions, but they look really, really similar. Okay, that's my view of this thing. But Rob, anything else to add?
No, we've basically said we think it complies as far as it's set back to the property line. It's a freestanding wall with a TV in it. As we said, it is directly across from here. It's a minor application, no adverse impact to coastal resources, and we therefore ask for your approval tonight.
Okay, and just to make sure we're okay, that at one point in time you said that the fireplace and the gas grill, and that's a typical kitchen size gas grill, is 36 inches. Now I'm hearing it's like 46 inches tall. Right, it's a typical kitchen. Every single
right. Your typical Weber grill kind of, you know,
Right, but I'm more concerned with the kitchen countertop. A kitchen countertop at my house is 42 inches high. It's standard regulation. That's all kitchen countertops at everybody's kitchen is the same exact height. So if that's 42 inches and I stick or it's 46 inches and you stick a 24-inch TV on top of it, 46 and 24 is 70. You get 2 inches for the enclosure, that's 72. The thing's 6 feet high. You know, all this stuff can get measured at the end of the day when it's set in the field. So that's the height of whatever this item is. Wilder Gleason, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, this, in order to be accepted from your regulations, it has to be considered a wall. And it's not a wall since it is not designed to enclose the space under the definition of fence. Therefore, it must be a structure, and a structure must meet setbacks. That's my claim. I don't know how you can interpret your regulations otherwise, because these are structures. They're located, they're built on the ground, they are attached to something located on the ground, and you're supposed to have an unobstructed space between the side lot line and the 25-foot yard setback here. So it's our claim that they should be, this structure, the TV, should be located 25 feet away from our property.
Okay, but now in your interpretation of life, is the built-in fireplace, is that a structure or is that a wall?
That's the structure.
Okay.
It's not a wall. And by the way, how many walls do you know have mechanical apparatus in them to lift a TV up and then drop it down? That's, I mean, you're on really far away from, is it a wall? Because I get it. Regulations is if walls are exempt from setbacks.
Yeah, because my issue, like when I read the examples of what are considered structures, like if we're going to consider a handicap ramp a structure,
yes,
that needs to be within the setback.
A handicap ramp is a structure that must meet setbacks.
On a firewall.
Don't talk over each other, please.
Yeah, I'm just trying to clarify for my own understanding.
I understand.
Because a wall, as I understand it, I look around town, I see beautiful stone walls delineating properties. I see, you know, deer kinds of fencing. I see other kind of really beautiful fencing around to delineate yards and to enclose pool areas. And unlike other areas, we don't require, you know, a fence directly around a pool, but as long as the property is enclosed by a fence, right? So I think there's an understanding about what a fence and wall is, which is a thing that delineates property lines and encloses a space, whether it encloses a pool for safety or it encloses, you know, a yard, you know, good fences make good neighbors or whatever the, you know, the expression is. And we have defined as structures, things that are erected, which are attached, which requires, you know, the use of which requires location on the ground or attachment to something having location on the ground. So while a TV can be placed somewhere and it can be brought in and out if it's not secured, this thing seems to be a bit different and doesn't seem to me at initial glance and by the applicant's representative's own statement tonight that it's not enclosing the terrace patio, it's there for some other reason. And so I think that if you look at what a structure is, they include things like porches, decks, right? And decks people sit on, like this thing people are going to sit on and cook on, signs, handicap ramps, gas or liquid storage tank, mounted antennas, ground mounted solar panels, satellite dishes, fences and wall, and then higher things, and other than retaining walls. So I think part of this is a retaining wall, but by the applicant representative's own statements, not all of it is. So there's parts that are a retaining wall. And those are with, you know, not outside of the 25 feet setback area, but not all of this is a retaining wall, but it's all connected as some sort of other thing, but not a thing designed to enclose. So to me, I'm just struggling with how then that's in our definitions a wall or a fence. Because there's already a pool fence. There's already a fence around the property. So it's not that. It's not designed to enclose. It's not the retaining wall. That's where I'm struggling.
It's a wall. And that's why under the structure definition.
You say it is?
All right, guys, we'll figure it out. I mean, it's Kara's talking to us basically.
Oh.
I'm trying to understand, and like whatever information I can be provided to help me grapple with these issues and questions is what I need to make a decision.
Could I help a little bit? The exception, walls more than 6 feet in height are considered a structure. Fences and walls more than 6 feet in height are considered a structure, but those are fences that are an enclosure. Now, a wall that's less than 6 feet in height, I have to tell you, as a practical matter, I don't think anyone would object to the sitting wall, the 18-inch. It's just, you know, but when you're starting to get mechanical apparatus in a, quote, wall, and the reason he wants it to be a wall is because it's exempt under the definition of structure. A wall is not a structure. And that's the only way this fire pit and TV can be blessed by you under your regs. And that structure, I mean, it's clearly a structure, and it's not a wall because it has a mechanical device to lift the TV and lower it, and it has the fire pit in it. So I don't think
if this was a handicap ramp with a mechanical structure to allow for a person who has mobility issues to, they would have to be within a setback.
That has to meet setbacks, and you need a variance to put a handicapped ramp closer to the property than the setbacks.
I'm struggling with that.
Understood. The commission will debate this after we close on it and what it is. My last question to Weiler is it your interpretation that gas grills that are built in are structures or walls?
My interpretation is that they're structures and they need to meet setbacks. But
okay, now on your, I got you. That's fine. That's the first part of the question. On the second part of the question, is the gas grill that's on your property on the other side of the wall, which is similar, is that built in or not?
I don't know. I believe it's built in. I don't know, but I do know that we are not objecting to the built-in gas grill. Although,
I understand.
as a lawyer, I want you to know, as a lawyer, I don't know how Dave Keating made that interpretation, but he told me the analogy was it's akin to a wall that's less than 6 feet in height, and therefore I'm letting it happen. But I think you've got a very slippery slope here, and I think that you're going to find all sorts of subsequent things going on. And how do you enforce a 6 foot height on a mechanical device that's really not a wall? It just doesn't.
Right, but we don't know if it's going 6 feet high. It should be 72 inches.
Walls that rise up 6 feet high if they go up and down.
Okay. And how is a mechanical device a wall? It's not. It can't be a wall. A wall.
I got you. We heard you loud and clear, Weiler. I got it. So what we have to figure out, your interpretation is that a built-in fireplace is not a structure, but a fireplace is a structure.
A fireplace that's lifted up like this is a structure, and it's particularly a structure when you have a mechanical device to lift the TV and lower it. That's the issue.
The TV tops out at 6 feet, then it's okay.
And the approach should be to amend the regulations if you want to allow these structures. That's what ought to happen.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And you should put an exemption in if you're going to allow them. But until you do that, your regulations prohibit you from approving this TV and fire pit.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else? Did anybody else in the general public have anything to add to this application?
So the owner just popped on the screen. I'm not sure if he wants to speak real quick.
I mean, I think we covered it. I think to me, I think the biggest question that I'm struggling with is if this structure or wall, whatever you want to call it, that has a fireplace in it is the same as a gas grill with the exception of the TV, I struggle to see what the difference of the two is. So if this proposal had no TV on it and it was a gas fireplace and a gas grill area that are the exact same, I'd be curious to see what the ruling would be on that.
Well, what about it? Why then would a handicap ramp with mechanical features not be allowed in this area, but a TV fireplace is?
I'm not asking that question. I'm asking if there was a gas grill structure and a gas.
Yeah, but think about the handicap ramp.
That's okay. It's okay. That's what we get paid to fill. Figure out, Mr. Holmes. That's what we're here for. Okay, and that's why we have staff. All right. Does anybody else want to add anything to this application? No, commissioners get all your questions answered? Wilder, you're good? Rob Frangione, you're the applicant. Any last thoughts?
Aren't you glad we didn't try to present this at 11:30 last week?
Yep.
You've heard our arguments. Thank you again for having us for this special meeting. Again, it is our argument that a stone wall is not a structure, even though it has a fire pit in it. That's it for tonight.
Thank you. With that said, I would entertain a motion to close this hearing. Adam makes a motion, looking for a second. Karen makes a second. All those in favor?
Thank you.
There you go. 5-0. Fantastic. All right.
Thank you very much.
That's the end of the public meeting for tonight. Let's go into the general meeting. First item on the agenda is deliberation possible decision on the following. Coastal site plan review number 364, floodstone prevention application number 417, Gabriel and Katherine Oliverio at 49 Goodwives River Road.
You have a draft resolution in your packets. This is, the hearing was November 9th, continued to November 16th. You may recall this is application where the EPC looked at it. They approved it on December 1st. They had issued a report to P&Z with regard to the level spreader, moving that a little bit, and some plantings on the slope. The applicant, I think, revised the application. One aspect of the application that is referenced here is a 4-foot boulder retaining wall on the southwestern portion of the property. That was presented as a plan revision during the public hearing process. So we do acknowledge in condition A that the final grading details adjacent to that proposed retaining wall need to be called out a little more. They weren't really called out on the submitted plans that were last revised on October 27th. And basically, that's the only thing. They don't expect to do any hole ramming or blasting more than 2 days. That's condition D. And then the condition D modifies the footing drain pipe leading to the riprap outlet. So, but the key here is that tweaking of the grading is making sure that's better defined so as to avoid any potential impacts to neighbors. Other than that, pretty straightforward approval.
Yep, I read it front to back. The only thing I found is can you do me a favor on, where is it? There it is. Page 3, item 10, just capitalize the flood zone, where it says flood zone next.
Sure.
Thank you. And then it's going through a couple items. It says hoe ramming on 13 or blasting. Then I put it how many days, that comes up later. You have to file, I guess at the beginning on item H, a stormwater management maintenance plan shall be submitted to the P&Z office to connect with the application is for building permits. That's great. And then on the back, it says that the notice of drainage maintenance plan has to be filed in the land record with 90 days of this approval. So everything that I had a question on got answered later in the proposal, which makes perfect sense to me. Anybody else in the commission have any questions, comments, scrivener's errors, typos on this resolution? Nope. Okay, we ready to vote? Looks like we are. Okay, all those I'm looking for a motion to approve as amended with my 2 capitalizations of the word flood and the word zone. Thank you. Kara makes a motion, looking for a second. Adam makes a second. All those in favor? Fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 4-0. Fantastic. We whiffed on the last one too. It was 4-0.
Hearing, I think Mr. Ball was in the meeting and I think he left.
He left the meeting and then he was on the phone listening in. What else? Okay. Next item for bid, subdivision application number 630, land filling and regrading application number 517, irrevocable trust for the decedents of Eugene G. Bucus III at 92 Half Mile River Road. Oh, sorry, Half Mile Road. This is the house that is way up on Hollow Tree Bridge Road. It's at the corner of Half Mile Road. We held up the meeting for an extra week because we couldn't find the fire hydrant. Bob Bush wanted a fire hydrant there. We found the fire hydrant on the site. It's now in the survey. And I think there was something if somebody built something else.
About a maintenance plan for, let's call it a creek. The commission was insistent on a maintenance plan be prepared by engineer Doug DeVesta. That was submitted. As this also went to the EPC. And as part of the EPC approval, they're going to do a boulder delineation of the wetlands and some enhancements to the wetlands plantings. So
we approved conceptual houses. They're going to come back with the houses.
A little regrading, and depending on what they do, it may need to come back to the commission. So Fred and I will work on a draft resolution over the quote unquote December break. If you have any thoughts, ideas, comments on the application, let us know.
Everyone's cool with this subdivision, right? Yep. Okay. Fantastic.
That's the draft.
Got it. The next item on the agenda, if the hearing closes tonight, do we want to deliberate on the application that we just spoke about? Or you want to punt on it? I would venture to guess that we punt because some people have some other questions.
Okay.
Yeah, Kara wants to punt. I thought so too. All right, so we're going to punt on that. We're going to deliberate on the 12 Pratt Island wall structures, houses, sitting things, TVs, gas grills, fire pits, fireplaces, all that stuff on another night. We spent an hour and a half on it. Okay, next is discussion of 22 priorities and initiatives. Inside your packet, you got a 2021 initiative and whatnot draft. Jeremy, Fred, and I did this for 2021 at the beginning of the year. Is this the same document you added to it, subtracted?
We had a document, and Fred and I moved things around. Took so what we did was page 1 is 2021 accomplishments, and page 2022 on the second page is first and second quarter initiatives. When Public Act 21-29 passed, it really rearranged all the commission's initiatives because you had to respond to that public act. And you already did that successfully with some of the zoning changes to eliminate minimum house sizes. You did it relative to multifamily parking requirements. Commission opt-out of those parking requirements. The commission members started going to more training. So there was a lot of response to that public act, but the initiatives that will have to be taken in the first part of next year are 3. One of them is dealing with cannabis marijuana. The other is accessory dwelling units, which was also part of Public Act 21-29. And the third item the commission will have to deal with is an affordable housing plan, pulling that together. So staff is gearing up for all of those, but we at least wanted to alert you that this is where your time's going to be spent between now and the early part, I'd say the first half of 2022, is addressing these 3 items.
So, with that said, your homework assignment for between now and January is to think about cannabis and marijuana. I did my State of Town speech last night and touched on it. Greenwich, just for it's in the speech, and it's also I had who's it, Francis Pickering and all the other chairmen chime in. Greenwich said no to cannabis marijuana. New Canaan said no. Westport said no. I think Ridgefield said no. So we have to think about it. 1 second, Kara. So we have to think about that over the weekend on what we want to do next year relative to that. The other thing that Westport also did is you can't even have a company in the town of Westport that has office space in there that call it their headquarters. So like I'm Philip Morris, I think is they're going to start making cannabis. They moved to Stanford. They're not allowed to move to and open up a headquarters office in Westport. Then the other is accessory dwelling units. As you guys might remember, accessory dwelling units are supposed to be allowed according to the state law in every single zoning district in town. Me personally, my personal opinion on it is that we allow them in certain districts, like a 1 acre zone, 2 acre zone, 4 acre zone, which we don't have. But I don't think we want to have them in 5th acre zones, which is really small. That's your other homework assignment. And if we write our own regulation the way we want it, then we'd probably have to go to the opt-out. And I guess the chicken and the egg is the affordable housing plan is not due until June
1st.
So we'll end up doing the ADUs before that.
I have to reread the law. It could be we get a little more time with ADUs. We might have the whole year to deal with that.
But I'd rather do the ADUs first
I know,
and put it to bed.
the housing plan basically due May 31st. So
Is Glenn Charter hired to help us with that?
well, I think we're going to talk about that a little bit offline. It could be that Mr. Keating, now that his time is freed up, will be a great resource for us. So we might bring him in as consultant because
That'd be great.
There is his knowledge of the community, his knowledge of the town, which is really firsthand, which when you talk about what can we do in terms of zoning changes,
That's great.
he's a great resource.
Yeah. Okay, Carrie, I cut you off earlier. You want to say something? I'm sorry.
Or just as I was, like a nerd reading through the cannabis legislation and what passed, is that there is a density component to it, so that there's only right to, I think, prevent, like, right, much of the legislation they looked back at to remediate past ills that happen to certain areas and neighborhoods and populations because of the criminalization of cannabis, and try to remediate some of those problems. And so there's many things built into the legislation, but one of the things built into it that I noticed that I think will kind of really impact us when we think about this going forward is that it's limited to the number of licenses or things that you can allow in a municipality, city, or town based on population, and it's 1 per 25,000. So, like, I don't think we're allowed to have any. And that just might be my simplistic reading of it. What?
We can only have 3/4 of a cannabis store?
I think so. Yes.
Since we're only 20,000 people?
With somewhere else. I don't know, but I just feel like as a starting block, it's like, okay, right there in the legislation, and maybe that's maybe there's a threshold population to which that 25,000, 5 per whatever, or you need to have, you're limited.
Let's debate it next year.
Yeah, but I just thought that was interesting, and I hadn't realized that. And
yeah, cool.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm sure you guys did. I just didn't until recently, until I read
Thank you. It's all good. All right, any questions on this document, this initiatives thing? No, everyone's cool? All right. This is special discussion program. This is special meeting, so we can't do anything. Other business cannot be considered. So if nothing business committee, I would like to wish everybody a happy holiday season. I always like saying that. I hope everyone has some time off. I definitely need to get recharged, but I'll be working in my day job until Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. I can tell you that right now. But I want to thank the staff, Fred and Jeremy. Hopefully you guys get another 5 weeks off, because I know it takes you a little time to do up these meetings, so have some time off too. I'm getting smiles from these guys. All right. Anything else? Anyone else want to close? They're like, we're gonna get out of here.
Enjoy the holidays, gang. I move to adjourn.
That's
Happy
a second.
holidays,
For a second.
Second it.
Sure. Thanks, everybody. Have a great holiday. See you in January.
Happy New Year. Have a great holiday.
Happy holidays.
Good night,